Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. Dun, dun. It's a raccoon with a talk show slinging culture facts you might not know. From the biggest flops to the greatest hits, this is Trash Can Tidbits.
Hi guys, Beaton here, bringing you some more neat stuff for you this week. Last week, I asked the question, what was the name of the first collie to play Lassie in Lassie Come Home? The answer is Pal. Pal was born in 1940 and was first sold to a trainer named Rudd Weatherwax, who ended up being the go-to animal trainer for further collies to play the role of Lassie, including descendants of Pal. He continued to play Lassie in other films throughout the 1940s, and even went on to play the character in the first few episodes of the Lassie TV series. He died in 1958 at the age of 18. And with that settled, shall we begin? Here we go with fact number 1. Did you know that the opening prologue segment of the movie Sin City, The Customer is Always Right, was actually originally intended to be test footage? The movie's director, Robert Rodriguez, shot the segment against a green screen with actors Josh Hartnett and Marley Shelton, and sent it to the author of the Sin City graphic novels, Frank Miller, to convince him of the way he intended to make the movie. Rodriguez, who is known for doing his own special effects in a super low-budget manner, managed to completely win over Frank Miller, and he gave his approval to make the movie the way he wanted to do. The sequence also ended up in the final film as a result. Fact 2. Did you know that both actresses who have portrayed Lara Croft Tomb Raider on the big screen have both won Oscars and have the same initials? In 2000, the year before she first played the buxom video game adventurer, Angelina Jolie won Best Supporting Actress for her role in Girl Interrupted. And in 2015, Alicia Vikander won Best Supporting Actress for her role in The Danish Girl. Angelina Jolie's birth name is in fact Angelina Jolie Voight, being the daughter of actor Jon Voight, who played her father in the first Tomb Raider film. Fact 3. Sticking with Tomb Raider for this next fact, did you know that one of the models hired to play Lara Croft for trade events was fired for posing for Playboy without the publisher's knowledge? Since 1996, Eidos Interactive, the publisher of the Tomb Raider franchise, hired a live-action model to physically portray Lara Croft at different events. English model Nell McAndrew played Lara between 1998 and 1999. It was during this time, however, that she ended up posing nude for Playboy magazine, which ended up getting her fired from the gig. Eidos has since stopped using the live-action Lara advertising. Fact 4. Did you know that 3 cast members from The Simpsons appear in the 1998 Godzilla movie? First, Hank Azaria, who plays Moe, Apu, Carl, and Lenny, among others, plays the main cameraman, Animal, who serves as the movie's comic relief. Harry Shearer, who plays Mr. Burns, Smithers, Principal Skinner, and Reverend Lovejoy, among others, plays the supporting role of the news anchor, Charles Kamen. And finally, Nancy Cartwright, who plays Bart Simpson, appears in a cameo role as Kamen's secretary, who sees Godzilla walking past her office window and has one line, "Sir, I think your story just walked past the window." Fact 5. Did you know that the animated movie Chicken Run was campaigned to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards? There was actually a major for your consideration push to get it the nomination, and if it had happened, it would have been the second animated movie to get the nomination after Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Though it didn't get nominated, the popularity of the film among members of the Academy ended up deciding to create a brand new category for the next year's ceremony, Best Animated Feature. The inaugural award would end up being won by Shrek, which was, coincidentally, also made by DreamWorks. Fact 6. Did you know that Mark Ruffalo was in fact the first choice to play Bruce Banner / the Hulk in the 2008 MCU Incredible Hulk movie? Director Louis Leterrier, who directed The Transporter, did want Ruffalo, but the studio wanted Edward Norton because he had the star power at the time. Ruffalo had mostly made indie movies at that time. The Incredible Hulk movie ended up just being okay, and when it came time to bring Banner into the MCU fully with the Avengers, they were able to hire Ruffalo after all and pretty much ignore what had happened in that solo Hulk film altogether. You know, come to think of it, though he has been an important character in many MCU films, the Hulk hasn't had a solo movie since 2008. The only other actor from that movie who has appeared in other MCU films is William Hurt as General Ross. Fact 7. Did you know that according to the Hyrule Historia, the character of Sheik, a disguised Princess Zelda who appeared in Ocarina of Time, was actually going to appear in The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess? There is texture and character designs that are seen in the book, but Sheik was ultimately cut out due to time, and the player ends up meeting Zelda early on in the game without the disguise. Sheik's character design for that game was later used in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Fact 8. Did you know that even though the game remake Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes for the GameCube does reunite the entire voice cast from the original game, one character is actually not voiced by his original actor. David Hayter, the voice of the game's hero Solid Snake, gave up part of his salary to make sure Konami and Nintendo were able to bring back all the voice actors to reprise their original roles. Greg Eagles, the voice of DARPA Chief Donald Anderson, also played the cyborg ninja / Gray Fox in the original Metal Gear Solid. But even though Eagles does play Anderson in the remake, for some reason, he doesn't play Gray Fox. That duty ended up going to voice acting legend Rob Paulsen. I'm not sure how that happened, but it is pretty interesting to hear Paulsen's voice coming out of the cyborg ninja. Fact 9. Did you know that The Incredibles had been gestating inside the mind of director Brad Bird for the better part of a decade before he made it? When he was at Warner Brothers, he directed The Iron Giant, and while at the time it was a financial flop, it was critically praised. Still is to this day. But when Bird pitched the idea of The Incredibles to Warner Brothers, they rejected it in favor of another animated movie, Osmosis Jones, hoping that would be the movie that could save the feature animation department. It didn't. Bird ended up leaving Warner Brothers in frustration and going right to Disney instead, who ironically had wanted him to work with them the whole time, and they allowed him to make the movie he wanted, The Incredibles. Fact 10. Did you know that the video game Parasite Eve is a sequel to a Japanese novel of the same name? The novel, which came out in 1995, deals with an experiment to create an independent life form based on the building blocks of biology called mitochondria. The novel took place in Japan, while the video game takes place in New York City, where the being known as Eve continues her reign of terror by creating grotesque biological life forms. The game was good enough to get 2 sequels. The second game was released on the PlayStation, and the third was released on the PSP. But the title was changed to The Third Birthday, most likely because the licensing use of the name Parasite Eve was expired. And here's this week's trivia question. The video game Street Fighter II is celebrated among gamers for its one-on-one fighting gameplay and colorful cast of characters. Though the character Ryu bears special mentioning because of an error on his original victory screen quote. When he beats an opponent, he says, "You must defeat Sheng Long to stand a chance." Fans took this as meaning that there was a hidden character named Sheng Long, but it's since been confirmed that the term Sheng Long was a Chinese translation mispronunciation of Ryu's trademark move, the Shoryuken, or the Dragon Punch. This didn't stop Capcom from making the reference in future games, and even inspired them to create 2 new characters to be added to the fighting roster. My question to you is, which Street Fighter characters were added to the roster in future games because of the players' response to the Sheng Long incident? And there you have it for this week. It's always a pleasure to continue to bring more facts, and please stay tuned for more content. I have lots of time now to make other types of videos, not just Trash Can Tidbits. If you have any ideas, please drop a comment. And of course, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time